Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Subramaniam Maslamani. Today my topic is an interesting one for you. An audacious attempt to rescue a community from racism, fanatism, barbarism, state terrorism and dictatorship. The ugly head of racism revived in Sri Lanka to win the election. This is the best opportunity for the world to experience on real time the spectre of Sri Lankan politics based on racism against Tamils. There's an election for the local government bodies and the ruling party of Mahinda Rajapaksa is at it again. They are making false propaganda about the LTT being active, supported and propagated by India. Who is saying all this? The Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, D.M. Jayaratna, in the parliament. It's not off the record, it is recorded. For 60 years and 2 generations, the Singhalese politicians are hoodwinking the Singhalese masses for votes and to plunder them. I feel that the United Nations must keep a very close watch on what is being said during the election. I want to ask Mr. Ban Ki-moon, do you think Sri Lanka will ever learn? Do you think LLRC is true and honest? Mr. Ban Ki-moon, you will never understand the way of the Sri Lankan politicians. You cannot believe even a single word from these racists. This is not lesson learned and reconciliation, it is lessons learned and the repetition of crime against Tamils. The United Nations must unilaterally go ahead with the inquiry into war crimes and genocide against humanity. The Singhalese people have been nurtured into racism, and any propaganda based on racism sticks, and it is a notorious way to get elected. But ultimately, it is the Singhalese people who will suffer. Therefore, we ask Singhalese people to join the Tamils on a different journey which will bring peace and prosperity to all. We Tamils have no choice but to reach out to the Singhalese people and say unto them, we are your friends and saviors. Come and join us for a better life. For the last 60 years, we have been asking the Singhalese politicians to give our birthrights. They did not want to, for they have converted peace-loving Buddhists into violent racists and fanatics. They need the Tamils to win elections and plunder the Singhalese people. We understand your culture and heritage very well. We understand that you are unique people and your culture and heritage must be respected and preserved. We have no qualms about it. We respect our heritage. That means we have to respect your heritage. But your politicians want to keep us apart so that they can divide and win. It is divide, conquer and plunder. We know how to rebuild your shattered lives and economy. We came to foreign countries because of the state terrorism unleashed by your politicians, and we rebuilt our families and businesses. We have the know-how how to rebuild your life too. Let us all unite and defeat our common enemy, your politician, Rajapaksa family et al. Rajapaksa has about 500 billion rupees in US dollars in foreign banks. Every time a bullet is purchased with your hard-earned money, Rajapaksa family receives commission deposited in foreign banks. Yesterday, your Prime Minister informed in the Parliament of the existence of 3 LTT camps in India. He is ready to instigate the Singhalese masses and to vote for them in the upcoming election. India said if that is true, Sri Lanka should have informed them first before going to the media. But it did not. This is how your politicians are still creating racial tension, and they claim they have LLRC to bring about reconciliation. This behavior of the Prime Minister is a hot off the oven example of how racism is used as a political tool by your politicians. It is time for the Singhalese people to about turn 180 degrees. If the Singhalese as well as the Tamil were to live in peace, prosperity and esteem, we had to cooperate or lose everything we have. There's no point depending on your politicians. They are corrupt and plunder your blood and sweat. Mahinda Rajapaksa in November 2009 came to New York and stayed at Waldorf Astoria, one of the most expensive hotels in the world. And the total bill was $10 million or 1 billion rupees. Then he went to London and stayed at the Dorchester Inn. The cost again is $8 million or 800 billion rupees. So then What is happening? They use the Tamils as a scapegoats to fool you. Only you can stop it. The news is that the Sri Lankan land are being sold to foreign companies, and out of that money, about 10% will go into the foreign bank accounts held by Rajapaksa family, and the 90% will go to pay off the debt. What do you get? Nothing. This is not the way to reward the people who voted them in. In Sri Lanka, politics is business, war is business, and people's lives are mere meat and flesh. The biggest losers in the 60 years of failed policies and politicians are the Singhalese people. They made them into sacrificial lambs or into menial Middle East goats. First, they sold the people. Now they are selling the land. It is business of making money while promoting racism and fanaticism. Your politicians have no plan for the ordinary people. Every time they wanted to get elected, they'll play racism, and now they have invented terrorism as a political tool. If any single raise the issue, they are killed. Who killed Lasantha Vikramatunga? We know who it is. Do you know who it is? Ask Mahinda Rajapaksa. He knows 100% who was behind it and who were the assailants. We Tamils have come to the conclusion that if Tamils were to live with self-esteem, self-respect, freedom and dignity, we have to reach out to the Singhalese masses and make them our family, friends and neighbors. That's the only way we can convince them that the real culprits of the nation are corrupt politicians. Actually speaking, Tamils have a social and moral responsibility to salvage the Singhalese people and the civil society in Sri Lanka. I will guarantee that your politicians will never ever work for the socio-economic emancipation of the Singhalese people. I do not know if they lack the intellect or the know-how. Among the Singhalese are needed a new breed of thinkers to redecorate the psyche of the people. Tamils are fast discarding their old, narrow-minded peninsula thinkers and replace them with world-class thinkers. We think transnationally, transculturally, with shared vision, shared responsibility, and hence shared progress. We need that in Sri Lanka. Mahinda Rajapaksa sent a few of his people to see if he can cause division and trouble among the diaspora. He has taken state terrorism to a much higher level. He is using diplomatic immunity as a cover to cause trouble in foreign lands. I hope he is watching what is happening to his friend Colonel Gaddafi in Libya. His nature and nurture is to follow a path of violence, not tolerance, as preached by Lord Buddha. By the way, have you ever noticed the absence of the statue of Lord Buddha anywhere in his office or home? Why is it? I have Lord Buddha in my house and at my workplace. He is not a Buddhist. He is the butcher and a barbarian. That means he is using Lord Buddha and Buddhism as means to his own benefit. I'm sure he has enough money stashed away in foreign banks to lead a comfortable life. I'm sure he will either go to Switzerland or Swaziland to relax life, while your grandchildren will toil in sweatshops, paying the foreign masters and bankers. Maid service, prostitution, tourism, barbarism, state terrorism, corruption, murder, etc. define your nation. There is no respect for the country anymore. It is the Tamils who are keeping the name in good standing. Ask anyone in the outside world and they will say Sri Lankans are good workers and good savers. That is what the Tamils have done for you. But your Mahinda Rajapaksa wants to destroy that goodwill. He is worse than Mahadana Mukta. He destroyed the Singhalese. Now he is trying to destroy the Tamils abroad. He is a schizophrenic psychopath or a psychosomatic paranoid or both. Three tombstones clearly mark the regression of Sri Lanka. First, the devil called S.W.R.D. Bandaranaike, who destroyed the psyche of a new nation. Secondly, the dragon called J.R. Jayawardena, who dragged the nation into the sewer. And thirdly, the Dracula called Mahinda Rajapaksa, who sucked the vitality out of a dying nation. And then the triangle of evil, the Mahavamsa, the Mahasangha, and the Mahanayakas. These three devils, along with the triangle of evil, destroy the nation for the Singhalese people. I will tell you that you did very little damage to the Tamils in Sri Lanka, but then we have made it in the Western world. This policy of racism, fanaticism, and staterism will not reclaim the nation from poverty, plague, and prostitution. A strong democracy with relative freedom and respect for human dignity and human rights can pull any nation out of difficulties. If one reads into what Prime Minister D.M. Jayartne said, one will understand the Sri Lankan political culture. There's an election for the local government bodies coming up, and what is the theme of the propaganda? LTT is regrouping in India. India has denied those charges. So why did he say that? Racism is an excellent vote-getting slogan. This is the proof that the Sri Lankan politicians will always use Tamil as an election vote-getting means. The Singhalese masses forget all the other difficulties and vote for these people. This is where the Tamils have to become smart and practical. We must reach out to the Singhalese masses and show them how they are being fooled for the last 60 years. And their corrupt politicians still using them as slogans to get elected. I hope Mr. Ban Ki-moon and the United Nations member nations pay attention to this spreading social disease of racism around the world. The people of Sri Lanka have been installed with a racial prism, and they look at the other nationalities through that prism, and all they see is racial tonality. When one looks through red prism, all you see is red. Innocent Singhalese Buddhists have been cultivated into racism, fanaticism, and terrorism. Mahinda Rajapaksa and his cronies are talking about reconciliation, which is a hogwash. It is their way of deceiving the world. While the people are kept in hallucination of race and religion, the nation is slowly but steadily slipping in its ability to stand as a nation. It is losing its ability to sustain its ability to live. It is heavily borrowing outside. It losing its assets and source of income. The power of natural, moral, and universal forces is stronger than any man-made army or armament. We saw the force of nature in Japan a few days ago. The force of nature is unfathomable and undefendable. However much Mahinda Rajapaksa tries, if they are not aligned with natural, moral, and universal laws, not only it is bound to fail, but also may brought about disasters. I hope the Singhalese people will come to grip despite their 60 years of unfairness to Tamil. The Tamils keep growing and growing. Have you ever wondered how? This is how it is. Anything that is not more natural, moral, or universal is not in alignment with the universe and will not survive. Your politicians are losing the nation despite their rhetoric, racism, and reaction. The Singhalese people must reject reactionaries and give the nation to responsible people. What the Singhalese people must realize is that our people, assets in Sri Lanka may be within the reaches of your misguided people among you, but our connection, our assets, and sources of income are spread all over the world, beyond the reaches of your corrupt politician and the criminal plunderers. All your embassies, high commissions are presently under vigilance of the law enforcement agencies, for they think you may spread racism, fanaticism, and violence around the world. You have lost the respect as a just nation. You do not have the basic understanding and etiquette which sustains goodwill. I am a tireless writer and have endless energy when it comes to the welfare of people. But I think I have given you enough substance for Singhalese people to rethink and redirect their mind to a more equitable nation of Sri Lanka. It's a simple advice. That's all, folks. The message to my Tamil folks in the meantime is, as usual, 70 million Tamils worldwide unite, stay together, work hard, never ever give up. The best is yet to come and we are winning. My name is Subramanian Maslamani, one of the world-class Tamils, powered by convictions, commitments, and conscience.